You understand there's absolutely no reason that Judge Merchan should have even had a chance to be assigned to this case? Now, I'm sure the left is just going to call this a conspiracy theory, so I'll issue a challenge to them and maybe they can tell me how he managed to be the judge. Because for these type of cases, the way it's supposed to work is that there is a panel of 24 judges, and they are all put in rotation and randomly assigned these types of cases. Judge Merchan is not on that panel. That's because he's not a judge, he's an acting judge. So even though they're trying to claim that they didn't pick the judge, that it was randomly assigned, that's not possible because Judge Merchan isn't in the pool to be randomly assigned. So the only way he could have caught this case was to be specifically assigned to it. There was no chance of him being randomly selected. And the wild thing is that according to the left and the Department of Justice, Judge Merchan was not only randomly selected to be the judge in this trial, but he was also randomly selected to be the judge in the Trump Organization case, and he was randomly selected to be the judge in the Steve Bannon case. So Judge Merchan, a judge that is not in the pool of 24 judges that is supposed to catch these cases, a judge that is not an actual judge but an acting judge, caught all 3 Trump-related cases randomly. This is a judge who gives heavily to an organization very plainly named Stop Trump, and a judge whose daughter makes tens of millions of dollars every year promoting Democrats. But yeah, I'm sure this was just a coincidence. It was a coincidence that one of the most high-profile cases ever, we didn't assign a judge, we assigned an acting judge, and that judge somehow got selected even though he wasn't in the pool of judges available to be selected, and that same judge that was selected also caught 2 other Trump-related cases in the same year, and then that judge's daughter makes tens of millions of dollars a year promoting Democrats. Yeah, I'm sure that's all a coincidence.
Yeah, shout out to our guy here, the older millennial.1. Shout out to him. And we as the American people, we want change. We are sick and tired of the Democrats, kangaroo courts, and their shenanigans on our President Trump, okay? And on top of that, I do believe that Merchan's daughter needs to be investigated as well. And Merchan and his daughter really need to pay the consequences for the trouble they've caused the good American people. I do believe that Alvin Bragg and Mr. Letitia James need to be thrown in prison for making a mockery out of our judicial system. I mean, like everybody, all these Democrat assassins that were positioned, get rid of all of them. Disbar all of them. Throw them all in prison at this point. The Biden crime family with them. Drop down below in the comments what you guys think. Shout out to the King Squad. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Thank you to everyone who donates and keeps me updated in the emails. I appreciate you guys. Let's go.
So we just got a Truth Social from the president-elect. I'm just going to read part of it because it is quite long and it is quite hard. He says, there has never been a president who was so evilly and illegally treated as I. Corrupt Democrat judges and prosecutors have gone against a political opponent of a president, me, at levels of injustice never seen before. Corrupt judges or judges so blinded by their hatred of me and my political ideology to make America great again are making a mockery of the United States judicial system. Well, it goes on, by the way, but the bottom line is there's so many grounds for appeal on this case. First of all, the way it was brought by the local DA here, Alvin Bragg, and the way it was tried, a lot of areas in which it could be appealed. Is there any way to fast track that appeal before the president is inaugurated, or are we just going to have to live with this?
Well, the great irony in all of this is that I don't think anyone did more to help elect Donald Trump president of the United States than Alvin Bragg and Tish James.
Yeah.
In both cases, you had 2 rogue prosecutors who decided that when they were running for office, that they were going to go after Donald Trump. They said it. They ran on it. And then, in fact, did it. And in both cases, the charges make no sense. In the case of Alvin Bragg, he took what it would have amounted to, at worst, a violation of the FEC and turned it from a federal case into a state case and from a misdemeanor into a felony. That alone, the way this case was brought, it should have been thrown out just on the merits itself.
Congressman, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've had so much breaking news. We only have a chance for one more question because of the Carter funeral, et cetera. Very quickly, yesterday we saw Speaker Johnson elected. A lot of people say it was because of the last-minute campaigning by the president-elect himself with phone calls and so forth. Is that going to kind of set the stage for how, for example, the reconciliation bill is carried out in the first days of his administration, where his input will be fundamental to the way this turns out?
Look, I just want to make one fine point, which is I do think on appeal, the president has a very good chance of getting those charges thrown out. With respect to this incoming Congress, absolutely. Look, we have a Republican House majority, albeit a slim one, but a majority, along with the Senate Republican majority. And obviously, President Trump had a landslide win. We have to work together to get things done. I think the president's voice will matter in this process, especially on the issue of reconciliation and addressing the border, energy, and taxes as we move forward. So his voice is going to matter a big deal as we move forward. But the biggest point to me is that we all have to work together. The American people don't care about our egos. They don't care about our personal grievances. They want us to do the job that most matters to them.
You know, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. America needs Trump. You know, so the Democrats, they really have blatantly shown their true colors, that they do not care about the American people, and they will do anything and everything in their power to make sure that their agenda is the number one thing that's being pushed. One of those individuals being Judge Merchan. At this point, jail him, disbar him, you know, and investigate his wife and his daughter. His wife works for Mr. Letitia James, and the daughter made a bunch of money off the whole trial. The whole thing is nuts. So that's that. You know, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, guys. Smash the like button, hit subscribe.
Let's bring in former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, great to have you with us today. We both watched CB Cotton's report, and she said that Judge Juan Merchan wants to sentence President-elect Trump to an unconditional discharge out of respect for the presidential immunity doctrine, and that means no prison time, no jail time, anything like that. But, you know, to many looking at this, it does seem vindictive. Can you explain to us what this means?
Yeah, it does seem like vindictive, and this case really is lawfare at its worst, and more so on the Alvin Bragg end of it. But basically what he's doing is saying the conviction will stand, but there won't be any punishment at all. So again, that sort of begs the question, why not just dismiss the case and let us move on? And if you look at the immunity decision, and the immunity decision basically from the Supreme Court said Donald Trump had immunity the entire time. It wasn't that they just created immunity for him in that decision. And the whole purpose was so that Donald Trump or any president could do their job without the fear of state officials or other officials interfering with it. And we're at a unique phase, this transition phase, which although he's not the president now, this is a critically important phase where he's putting together his administration that's set to take effect on January 20th. The last thing he needs is to be distracted and disrupted by this sentencing, which again isn't going to lead to anything. But another point that Judge Merchan, you know, seems to be missing out on is this doesn't end the case, because Donald Trump can appeal this case, and he certainly will, and he has multiple avenues for a successful appeal, most notably the presidential immunity decision. So this case will continue on during his term, which again, it doesn't make any sense. There's no societal interest in this case going forward. And really at this point, the only people that seem to really defend this case are Judge Merchan and Alvin Bragg. Nobody else, even the most hardened Democrats, know this case was lawfare, and everyone is somewhat embarrassed by this case. And it really would make Judge Merchan and Alvin Bragg in particular would really restore some credibility to the justice system by just letting this case go and be dismissed outright.
Yeah, to your point, what interest does it serve? Judge Juan Merchan says he wants to honor the jury's decision here. Trump is on social media calling this whole case a charade that should have been dead on arrival. I guess, you know, legal scholars will debate this for some time to come. But in the meantime, now the Trump team is going to have to try to stop this sentencing. Is there any chance that they can do that? They can stop this January 10th sentencing?
I think there's a chance they could appeal his ruling to a higher court, or maybe even try to take it to federal court again and make the presidential immunity argument as it relates to the transition. So I think there's a chance, and it really makes sense for this case just to go away. And just the other thing is, if Donald Trump wins on immunity, this case could be back in front of Judge Marchand during Donald Trump's term. So again, this thing never really goes away unless it's dismissed. I think a higher court should get involved and say the greater societal good is, getting rid of this case. Certainly Alvin Bragg has more than enough to do in New York with people getting pushed in front of subways and other things like that, that this shouldn't be high on his priority list, and it should have never been on his priority list. But yeah, there is a
Exactly.
chance. I think they will do that. If not, there'll be the sentencing next week, where Judge Marchand will probably make some sort of speech again trying to justify this case as its legitimacy, and then Donald Trump could go on to appeal. But it really is not worth the distraction. We just had a terrorist attack. We have all of these things. He needs to put his administration together, and this is a needless distraction, not only for him, but everyone in the country, when there's far more important things going on.
Yeah,
There you have it, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is just it's crazy. Prayers out to Trump, the whole Trump administration. They can't stand to see him win. They can't stand to see him win. They can't stand to see a MAGA fight back. Okay, when these people try to control us and shut us down, we continue to push forward and overcome, and that's what they don't like. Okay, and it's going to be an interesting 4 years. 4 years that I'm excited for, but 4 years that I'm also, aware of, that we gotta can keep up our prayers and support for Trump, and as well as ourselves. Really, there are forces at hand that are not happy that they cannot control Trump. I mean, I'm convinced. With the amount of attacks on this man, it is just absurd. It is ridiculous. So like I said earlier in the video, America needs Trump, all right? And that's just what it is. It's a crazy time to be alive. It's a very crazy time to be alive, guys. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you to everyone who left a positive comment and watched this video all the way through. Thank you to everyone who donated to the channel. Shout out to the channel members. Thank you to everyone who emails me and keeps me updated in emails. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great and awesome day. Peace.